It'll come as no surprise that since going to university in September, I have been reading an awful lot more non-fiction than I was in the first half of this year. But it is non-fiction November, and I really wanted to join in because I have a lot of non-fiction on my shelves that doesn't necessarily apply to my degree, although I think everything that you learn filters in, so, you know, to some extent it applies to my degree. But anyway, Non-Fiction November was originally created by a book olive. However, I first heard about it through the channel The Book Bully, and I just wanted to give a little shout out to her as well because I like her channel as well as the Book Olive. Now, if you want more details on the whole thing, then go and check out a Book Olive's video. And this is just me telling you which books I'm hoping to get through during November to meet the prompts, the little categories that have been set up for anyone taking part. So this year there are 4 prompts that they're asking you to try and meet. That is record, element, border, and secret. Now, Book Olive does go in and give some examples and some ways of interpreting each of those prompts. I found that really useful when trying to decide what I would like to read, but here are mine. So for record, some of the examples, like the ways of using that prompt that were mentioned, was memoir, something from a journalist, music, history, so different ways of using the word record. I am going to go for Bessie Smith by Jackie Kay. Now, this one I mentioned in my Black History Month video because I wasn't quite sure whether this was non-fiction or fiction, but essentially this one is quite interesting because it is a mix. So this remarkable book mixes biography, fiction, poetry and prose to create an enthralling account of an extraordinary life. So it's part memoir, but it also mixes quite a few different ways of writing in there, so I'm really intrigued to see what this is like, and it is now going to be a goal of mine to make sure that I get more Black authors, Black content in my reading, because I realise that I've got loads of these books on my shelves, but having them on my shelves isn't the same as having read them, so this one is the one I'm going to go for record. Then we have element. Some of the different examples and ways of interpreting given were to do with science or even the weather, so climate change, to do with the elements, or you could go for things like something that's in your element or something that contains many elements. And for those last 2, so in your element and contains many elements, I'm going for A Woman Looking at Men, Looking at Women. This is, I believe, 3 essays which are on art, sex and the mind, and you know, feminism, the feminine ideal, the male gaze. That's all something that I do enjoy reading about, so in my element. But it also says on the back, in the 3rd essay, she reflects on the mysteries of hysteria, synesthesia, memory, perception and the philosophy of Soren Kierkegaard with clarity, wit and precision and passion. She exposes gender bias, upends received ideas and challenges her reader to think again. So there are like a range of things being explored in this, but all around this central theme. It is quite a big one, but it's one I've been wanting to read for ages. Oh, that's really satisfying. And it smells really good. Smells like a good book, that one. So there you go. That's my one that I want to try and get to for element. We then have border, which I think the most sort of obvious interpretation would be something to do with crossing international borders. So whether you've got something that's in translation or that is just reflecting on another country. I've gone for Women Photographers, Revolutionaries, 1937 to 1970. So I'm choosing to interpret borders as these photographers who were pushing the boundaries or the borders of what was acceptable for women in their time. So as global tensions rose and the Second World War began, many women photographers found themselves under threat or forced into exile. Others, such as Lee Miller and Margaret Bourke-White, worked as war reporters or documented the aftermath of the conflict. But a great number found new creative energy and increased engagement with political themes. Photography became a universal language to communicate around the world, and it was used to demonstrate empathy with those outside the establishment and to provide glimpses into the daily lives of women everywhere. So this book contains 64 female photographers all who were sort of pushing the boundaries of what their gender allowed in terms of being photographers, but also who travelled internationally to document the way that people were living. There's all sorts of borders being crossed and boundaries being pushed in this book, so that's why I've chosen this one. And then the final one, now this one to some extent is a bit of a stretch, but this is The Ministry of Truth, a biography of George Orwell's 1984 by Dorian Lynskey. I am fascinated by the political writing of George Orwell, and when I saw this, I don't think it's new. I think it's just because I was interested and I was looking him up. When was this published? Oh no, 2019, so it is relatively new actually. But I'm sort of going with the thing of truth, secrets. The whole point of 1984 is about how this gentleman, the protagonist, is living in the Big Brother state where you aren't allowed to have secrets. There are even thought police. So yeah, a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, that's what I'm going for secrets. I'm really interested in George Orwell. I'm interested in the book. I'm interested in dystopian fiction. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. Will I manage to read all 4 of these in November alongside all the other reading that I need to do, which includes all my uni reading and the remaining library books? That remains to be seen. You'll find out in my November wrap-up whether I get to these, but there we go. Thanks for watching, guys.